Hey guys, Azralynn here with a quick review of Two Worlds 2 Call of the Tenebrae. Call of the Tenebrae is an adventure RPG set in the Two Worlds universe. It's available as a DLC to the base game or as a standalone game. The story starts off with your friend Darfa being murdered by a giant rat-like creature. As you seek vengeance against them, you are accidentally thrown back in time by their leader. From there, you find a note that Darfa has left for you, and you must find her and help her stop the catastrophic events to come. The story takes place after the Two Worlds 2 Pirates of the Flying Fortress DLC, but it isn't necessary to have played it. The story in Call of the Tenebrae is okay. It kept me interested and had me wanting to listen to all the plot developments. I have not played any of Two Worlds 2 prior to this Call of the Tenebrae DLC, thus I was prompted to create a new character instead of importing a previous one. As a new player to the series, I was extremely annoyed by the utter lack of any sort of tutorial. The game isn't very intuitive either, so I was clueless about how to play and fight, and I wound up restarting the game about 5 times before leaving the first town. Upon creating a new character in Call of the Tenebrae, you choose a class, warrior, ranger, or mage. Your character starts off at level 60 with a full set of gear, a ton of attribute points, a major buttload of skill points, plenty of consumables, and quite a bit of currency. Starting off in a role-playing game with essentially a max skill set makes any sort of character progression feel non-existent. In turn, leveling up feels completely unsatisfying and doesn't award you with any sort of accomplishment at all. The gear you start off with is upgradable by using crafting components you've obtained by dismantling other loot. I figured it's a good idea to upgrade, so I upgraded a few of my items to their max levels. The bad part of the gear is the fact that the gear I started with never needed to be replaced during my entire playthrough. Enemy loot drops are plentiful, but it was all just crap that was never an upgrade over my current gear, and it only served as junk that I wanted to dismantle. Looting enemies for the sole purpose of dismantling items is horribly tedious, and you'll eventually just want to give up on looting enemies or opening treasure chests altogether. Playing an RPG where you start and end the game wearing the exact same items is extremely disappointing. Combat is frequent throughout the game. You can attack, block, and use traps and abilities. Your set of 3 abilities will vary depending on which class you play, what abilities you have unlocked, and what weapon you have equipped. Some of the skills are only available if you find the skill book somewhere in the base game or spend real money on them. The microtransactions are lame, but at least if you start a new character for the DLC, all of that class's skills are available. I played as a warrior with a 2-handed axe, and I found that the most effective way to fight and conserve health was simply to spam auto attacks while using special abilities whenever they were off cooldown. The combat feels clunky and the blocking is pointless most of the time. Running away to wait for cooldowns seemed like a better alternative, and it's always unfortunate when the most effective way to fight is so incredibly boring. There are some unique enemies, but the combat is essentially the exact same from start to finish. There is also a crafting system in Call of Tenebrae. You can craft from your inventory anywhere in the world. The system works by adding ingredients you've scavenged into the cauldron. It's very clear what effect each ingredient will give, but you can mix and match ingredients to try to find new recipes or create stronger potions with varying effects. The crafting system is good for creating attribute buffs, such as strength or endurance, but it feels utterly useless for any health or mana potions. The health potions are the most necessary, but the ones that you'll likely craft are complete garbage compared to the potions you can buy off the vendors. As for the graphics, the characters and their animations look incredibly outdated, and even straight up goofy or glitchy at times. The environments look alright, and I don't mind them too much, but there are some texture popping issues. There are also problems with the game stuttering briefly when the game decides to load while you're running. On top of the load stuttering, I also experienced a few serious lag spikes and frame drops in some of the areas, but it wasn't too common. The audio is a mixed bag. The music and the ambience are very good and they create a nice immersive atmosphere. That immersion is then destroyed by the several broken segments of voice dialogue. Aside from the obviously bad lip sync, there are times when the voice dialogue doesn't play at all when the characters are talking. Then there are other times where the dialogue gets cut off completely mid-sentence or stops too abruptly at the end and you can actually hear the cut in the tracks.
Smooth.
Time for me to be on my way. Not that this hasn't been fun and all.
None is taken.
says the guy living in a swamp.
And then there are other times where the voice volume is inconsistent and plays so quietly compared to the music that you can't even hear it. The quality of the voice acting itself is mediocre at best, and quite poor at its worst. The controls are fully customizable, and there is full controller support. The game took me about 5.5 hours to complete, excluding the times where I restarted the game. I focused on the main story and skipped doing the optional side quests, and I would not consider replaying it. Two Worlds 2 Call of the Tenebrae lacks any sense of progression or accomplishment, and the combat feels tedious. The audio breaking regularly on top of the poor to mediocre voice acting ruins almost any sort of immersion or enjoyment that the story might provide. I had little to no fun playing Call of the Tenebrae, and my time would have been better spent elsewhere. I hope this review has helped you. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and post your feedback in the comments below. Thanks everyone, and have a wonderful day!